Hello everybody, here we are after a crazy start to the week and we are back to making videos. Today talking about just the terrible start that the Oilers have had and kind of talking about what could happen going forward. So before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the Oilers are a team that over the past 3 years have been a pretty good team. They've been a club that's hit the 100+ point mark in the past 2 seasons, I believe, and then the year before that they would have been on pace for another 100-point season had it been a full season. A club that's been able to find recent playoff success. They've made it to the second round in back-to-back years, making the conference final in 2022, the first time in like a decade and a half up to that point, and we're hoping to maybe push the Avs off of the cliff and then get to the Stanley Cup final themselves. Didn't end up happening, but again, part of this really good stretch that they've had in recent years. It doesn't help expectations for this club compared to where they're at now, with the fact that they had such a hot run to end out the year last season. In their final 25 regular season games, they went 24-1 and were one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team, going into the postseason. And many people, including myself, said maybe they are that sleeper pick to go on a deep run in the playoffs and get to win Lord Stanley. Obviously, we're not at that point anymore. Going into the regular season this year, in my season preview, I said that they should finish absolutely top 3 in their division. A lot of team models ended up having them as potential division winners. Makes sense when you've got guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and just had an up-and-coming guy like Stuart Skinner that maybe let in some goals, but at the same time, the offense being good did enough to get them the wins. This was a team that had some blue line success after that trade, and they were thinking, hey, after last year's all run, maybe we could put together our best year yet. That does not look like it's going to materialize unless things change dramatically right now, because they are currently 2-8-1 and on a 3-game losing streak. They have, lost games that have been by a lot. They've been losing games that have been by a small amount. They are, I believe, the second worst team in overall in the league standings, behind, or just ahead, I should say, of the San Jose Sharks. So clearly things are not going well. So what exactly is going on right now? Well, the fact is they have had a lot of issues in that. Stuart Skinner was that young guy who was supposed to be a very good piece for them. We've talked about Stuart on the channel before. A few years ago, probably even at least 2 years ago, I think we've mentioned his name. And then Jack Campbell. He was a guy that they gave a 5-year deal to. Well, again, Stuart has really struggled at the start of this year. Jack has too. In fact, they just placed Campbell on waivers yesterday. And for this team that felt like maybe we have a good 1-2 punch going into this season, this has to feel like a gut punch, because now you're wondering, who could we even trust in net to keep things going? Because they probably have, I would imagine, at least the second or third worst save percentage in the league. San Jose, again, probably holds that mark after those back-to-back losses to the Pens and the Canucks. But for the Oilers, they have had some games also against the Canucks where things haven't gone their way. Their first game of the season opened up with an 8-1 loss to Vancouver. Ironically, the Canucks seem to be a contributing factor to San Jose and Edmonton's stress, as the team has played the Oilers 3 times this year and beat Edmonton in regulation all 3 times. So the other night they end up playing them and the Canucks end up getting a W again. Woodcroft gets ejected in the 3rd period, and you start to wonder a little bit with Jay being on a team that he's been able to guide to recent success and help them kind of keep things rolling here on a good team, with them being in a Canadian market. Does the pressure get amped up even more to where you have a bad run? Some teams would be a little bit more passive in a little bit more calm environments, but being in Edmonton, where there was a guy that was pretty good at hockey and a team that was really good at hockey at one point in the 80s and then the very early 90s, it's just one of those deals where the expectations when they're good is the cup. And when you have a guy like McDavid that is the next Gretzky, Woodcroft's probably feeling the pressure. I don't know if exactly they're kind of whispering in his ear and saying, hey Jay, if you lose 3 of the next 5 games, you're out of here. But it does remain to be seen. Is that just frustration, or is there more to it? To be honest, for me, I'm going to go on the less controversial side right now and just say he's a head coach of a team that he expects to be really good, and the fact that they are struggling and they are, being coached by him probably feels like a personal insult to him, saying, why are my guys so bad right now? I'm frustrated and I have to show it, which led to that ejection the other night in the 3rd period. But we have to ask, with this poor start to the year, are there some potential massive changes coming to this team? We already saw that Campbell is placed on waivers, and that is possibly one of many moves to come. My biggest talking point for this team going into the season, maybe even been in my season preview, was if the Oilers got off to a bad start, which really seemed like something that wouldn't be the case, would they trade away a guy like Leon Draisaitl? That sounds like a far-fetched idea, but this is a player that is a unrestricted free agent after next season, so you basically have like 2 years of control over him. But if they continue to slide a little bit, do you think, how would we, kind of restock the coverage? How would we maybe get more depth all around to put with McDavid? How would McDavid feel if suddenly the team is back to being a bad team? Because at the start of McDavid's career, and really up until recently, there were some bad seasons. So McDavid has been there where the team has been bad, but at the same time, he's been there recently where the team's been good. And when you're a player that is competing for personal awards and you've been able to achieve all of those awards, you don't care. I mean, you're looking at a guy like Jack Eichel that has nowhere near the trophies that McDavid has on a personal level. But McDavid's very aware of the guy that was taken right after him in the draft now has a Stanley Cup, something that McDavid's not even able to get into and play in the Stanley Cup final. So I just kind of wonder if things get worse, maybe in the next 20 or 30 games, if they would say, we really need to rethink where this team is at the moment, and we need to figure out exactly what we're going to do to keep McDavid happy or whatever the case is. It would be a shame if anything really crazy happened, if you catch my drift. But the fact does remain this: we are about 13% of the way done through the year for the Oilers in terms of their schedule, and they have captured just 5 out of a possible 22 points and sit 7th in the Pacific Division. If it was a little bit different and San Jose wasn't there, they're probably sitting at the bottom of the division. And I know some people will say, well, Gretzky might not be at 100%. No, it's Gretzky, excuse me, McDavid. McDavid's not at 100%, and he has been injured. Very well could be true, but the reality is, too, the team and the standings just really don't care if your star player is injured, and you're going to have to hope for a big turnaround. With teams like Vancouver taking 3 out of the 4 games in the regular season series, and you not even getting any points out of those games, now you're looking at a situation where Vegas has got off the hot start, Vancouver has got off the hot start. Are they locked for the 3 seed or top 3 in the division? I couldn't tell you, but let's say that theoretically they are. That leaves you 1 spot in the division, and then it leaves you 2 wildcard spots. Guess what? Anaheim's on a 6-game win streak. They are looking like a good young team, maybe the team that we thought that they could have been last year. And for the Oilers, they have really not a lot of time to figure things out, because you can say, oh, we have this many games left on the year and it's all good and dandy, but again, you have to realize so do all the other teams, and unless they have a poor stretch of play like you've had to that level, they're probably going to be gaining ground on you. So you really need to get hot and get to be that team like it was at the end of the regular season going into the playoffs last year, and forget whatever this team is at the start of this year. So that's just kind of a quick talk about the Oilers. I kept putting off a video about them because I was saying surely they'll turn it around. We're at the point of the season where that does deserve a video. So let me know your thoughts on Edmonton and where they will finish at the end of the season. Did you expect them to be bad? I want to know all that in the comments down below. Also, please make sure to like this video if you found it enjoyable, and subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe, have a great night, and you go love hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.